Hello and welcome back to the Climb episode 4, your weekly scheduled podcast with yours truly. Today, we're going to be having a very jungle-centric episode, but before we get into that, I'd just like to let you know on this channel, we're looking to make some quick daily streams with all the lads in the tavern. So if you know, love it if you tried to check it out at some point. We look for usually about a 6 p.m., 7 p.m. GMT start. The streams are quite short, but they're usually focused around gameplay with all different members. Some you've seen on the podcast, some you haven't seen on the podcast yet, and some you might see later. But without further ado, my name is Zach. I'm your host for the day. Joining me, my two regular co-hosts, we have Virgil,
Hello.
we have Vincent,
Hey guys.
we have returning from last week's episode, we have Tweedie, aka Matt,
Hello.
and we have for the first time a 5-man podcast. And since it's a jungle episode, we are bringing on our resident jungler, Saad, aka Sin.
Yo.
And without further ado, Sin, please introduce yourself. Everything about League, how you met the group, go for it.
Okay, I've been playing since like season 11. Mostly, I pretty much almost like always play jungle only. I met like the group through Vincent, and me and Vincent have been friends for like 2 years or something at this point. I'm a Graves main, and I play every boozer champ in the jungle.
Yes, sir.
Well,
think
short and
that's
sweet.
about-
I suppose
Yeah,
that is all
so
that
this-
needs to be said, yeah.
Simple
I remember
put,
when
yeah.
this guy first started. Oh, I used to just like, I just shit talk him all the time when I first started. But it's mainly because like ping issue.
I
It's
mean,
like,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
you've had quite a journey as a player, a bit of a rags to riches kind of experience on the jungle role. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your progression?
Yeah.
How you got into League and then what led you to the jungle role? How you started climbing?
Yeah. Basically, I used to like play like juggle between top and jungle, but then like jungle I think is the role that has the most influence in the game. If there's a good jungler and a bad jungler, you can definitely feel it. You know what I mean? Like if there's if the enemy jungler is better than your jungler, you can definitely feel it in the match always, right? So that's why I wanted to be a good jungler. And uh, the first like 2 seasons, and Vince can vouch for this, I was literally hard stuck iron. At one point, I was like iron 3, and yeah, literally. And well, you're laughing too hard, but anyhow,
Sorry.
but in this was like because I used to like switch champs all the time, and then I got like coaching from Raza, which some of you guys know. He's like a master player. And in that season, I went from Iron 3 all the way to Plat. This was with like 160 ping, 150 ping, by the way. And then I just like slowly climbed over like every season, like all seasons, like very slow, gradual climb. But I never stayed like the same spot. Uh, there was like I think like 2 seasons ago, like no, 1 season ago. I this was like a Middle East server, so it doesn't really count. But that was the only way for me to have like consistent 30, 60, like 60 ping, something like that, right? I made it all the way to like Emerald Emerald 198 LP with like 73% win rate, and with like a 4.3 KDA, some shit like that.
I remember it was right on the end of season. You were 98. You're tweaking, bro.
Yeah. The season ended. The season ended as I was doing my last game, and then like my team just FF'd it, and then yeah, GG.
So close.
Almost
Yeah.
a bit of an origin story, honestly. Almost. Maybe it
Almost.
is. I've seen your gameplay. Maybe it is, man.
Well, yeah.
And,
One more question directly about you. How did you come up with your username?
Oh, it was. Oh, it's like it's just my copied like PlayStation name, but my PlayStation name originally was gonna be Shady, or something like that, right? No, because if you like in middle school, I grew up quickly, right? And I always looked very weird, like I didn't fit in. And my friend Khalid, Vincent knows him, right? All his classmates were afraid of me for a while because I had a growth spurt very early on. I was way taller and I looked very suspicious, and then they all like that was like a joke. Yeah, that was like the joke about it, right? Like around it. And then
That's very
and then I
funny.
was like, yeah, that's a pretty name, bro. So yeah, that's the origin name.
And so Sinosta was born.
Yes,
But
sir.
I actually like the username. Like when it abbreviates to Sin, it's just short and sweet. Everyone knows who they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Pretty good name.
Uh,
It's like one of the edgy names get made fun of a lot, but it's just one of the ones that works, you know.
I'll be
yeah,
brief,
bro,
yeah.
it rolls off the tongue. That's why I like it so much.
Once you get past the first month of not knowing the person, like, oh, that sounds edgy. It's like, I like the name. I respect it as well.
No.
I mean, I won't talk about my PlayStation names. I can't say shit.
Oh,
My
there
names
was
are
some
so fucking
some
pretentious.
cursed names
Yeah.
back in the day.
They were good, but they're pretentious. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
I
of
was
course.
kind of. Sorry, I was gonna say mine
No,
was
yeah, go ahead.
forced upon me.
What,
I think it's
Tweedie or
similar. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Tweedie.
Matt, you could tell us a bit about your username progression. Is an interesting story as well.
Oh, that'll take a lot. That'll take a whole other episode. But I've gone through I don't know how many names. But I eventually got to one at one point, which was I think it's Mattiodi. But I don't know how I got it. I just randomly but Alex kept mispronouncing it. I don't know if he did it on purpose or by accident, but he kept saying Matweedy.
Yep.
So from that point on, it was just kind of a running joke, and then just shortened to Tweedie, and now I'm just
And so
That's
stuck,
Romanian,
so.
right?
somehow you've gone from
No, Alex Phillips, Alex Tennis,
What? Really?
Yeah.
Sion,
Big up Tweedie.
yeah,
We've gotta get that guy on as well at some point.
One day, but
Top
until
lane
then,
episode.
okay. Let's go straight into it, of course. So, Sin and everyone else, how has the climb been this week? Or for you, in your case, Sin, the past month, since I know you're not playing too
Yeah.
much currently. But
I mean,
I'd say take the floor, man. Go for it.
okay. I mean, the climb has been good, although the last it's been consistent as always. Like I play a very boring, very consistent play style. Like, you know what I mean? But the last day that I played was not very kind. I ended up on a 6-game loss streak, and Virgil saw how tragic that day was. But
Oh yeah.
the sad thing was 3 of those games I had like 15 kills or some stuff. But so I definitely could have carried, but it's just I don't know, mental block. But yeah, that was a sad day. But aside from that, it's just been really consistent. I think like this patch, I mean, from what I've seen and like from what I played, this patch, like any jungler that has a fast clear as always is really good, and any jungler that has a flexible clear is always really good. Like right now, I'd say S tier champs like Graves. I'd say Udyr's A tier, Jarvan's S tier as always because they reverted the nerf on his passive like current health damage like slowly over the last year and a half because it used to be 8% and they made it 6% and then they slowly made it back to 8%, so he's broken as fuck. Yeah, it's just any jungler that has a really good clear, any jungler that can like play the early game very well, I would say is very, very strong right now. Oh, I've seen also that they broke Nunu. If anyone also saw that.
I've been
the
seeing a
true
lot of
damage thing.
Nunu, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what was it? It was Yi Belveth Rek'Sai Nunu because they, with the PTA change, they didn't take into account the jungle item true damage. So
Yep.
those guys had like ultra fast clears, and then they hot patched it, I think, after like a couple hours. But I think at some point I saw Nunu at 57% win rate, and the rest of them
Yeah,
were 54.
This
It
is a
was
Yeah,
terrifying
it's-
prospect.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
Nuno's Q was like 2. I mean, no, it was like 3 minutes and 4 seconds or some shit. That's
League is
God
always a
forsake.
horror game when you're in a Nunu meta, whether or not it's because of an artificial reason like this or just because the champ is
Yeah.
strong. But yeah.
like you say, 3-minute 4, as if me playing Zyra, I could just do that by default, assuming I don't get invaded. Don't need no
Yeah.
don't need no BS to help me.
I actually
No,
think
no,
right now fucking Master Yi is like really, really good right now. Like with all the changes, especially because Viego and Wukong like got nerfed out of like the top spot, so he's not as easily like
Fantastic.
punished. Yeah, and it's just like he scales really well. raise attack speed, and his items are good. The true damage buffs are good. I feel like he's really hidden right now, like hidden strong.
Fair. That's completely fair. But before we go into too much jungle discussion, how's the rest of your climbs doing, everyone? I will start by saying I've been inting some games, but it was funny. I know for a fact one or two you may have witnessed them. The Alistar games that were not my
yeah.
fault in the slightest.
Oh,
I think I saw
oh,
some
yeah.
of this. Yeah. What was how many deaths did you manage to accrue in that one?
It's not the deaths that matters because I created a lot of space and I had like double the assists to my deaths, I think. But I believe it also was 11 deaths 2-3 games in a row. Not my
God.
fault.
Ah,
Boosted 80 carries. Not my
True,
fault.
true. Speaking of boosted AD carries, I've been having a great time playing Flex recently. As we mentioned before, the Tavern channel started doing daily live streams, which we hope to be able to keep up for a while. And in those stacks, I've been playing AD carry so far, having a whale of a time. I don't know. It's just a refreshing change from solo queue, having a support that I can communicate with. We've just been gapping every lane non-stop, having a great time. And Caitlyn, my OTP, feels really strong with Dog Harvest right now. So I've been enjoying that build. Haven't played much solo queue though recently. We'll see if I find some time to get back into that.
And me on the other hand, I guess I've been playing kind of quite a bit of solo queue, but it's not like mainly like just 3 games a day, 3 or 2 games a day, just playing consistently. And yeah, I've been enjoying the AD carry again. I'm just playing Zeri a lot, mainly because I can like just sit back and farm and do nothing and then win the game at like a certain break point. I had a game today actually where it was okay, this is like insane story. And basically what happened was we died in bot lane, and then my mid laner and my jungler comes to like clean up after our like kind of mistake. But what ends up happening is that like they get caught by their jungler and their mid laner TPing, and then my jungler dies, and then my mid laner dies, and my mid laner types something like offensive, and then starts walking with my jungler the entire game, like literally entire game. The Syndra who I was against was like level 11, and then she was like level 5, and it was just like horror game. Even though I was 10 CS a minute, game was easily winnable. This player just had too much time in their hands, I guess. I checked their account after it was a level 30 account, so I'm assuming this player just like doesn't care about the account, does whatever.
Just like me.
Yeah. It was an unfortunate game. But apart from that, it's been okay because I'm very consistent. Just I like kind of boring playstyle like Sin. Just right now I'm just farming and then just getting to a certain point and then being able to like steamroll the game.
Well,
And you've
recently,
been
we've been seeing you duo with a certain Tavern member
Yeah.
as well. You want to tell us a bit about
Yeah, it's just I get like a Lulu or a Yumi or something, like an enchanter, because then I just don't need to ask and beg for the random support to get me an enchanter. Because I really like enchanters with Zeri. I actually played a Twitch game today, which he felt really, really, really strong.
But
That was good.
I mean, they put up politely for a duo. I was gonna say you got yourself a little Yumi bitch, didn't you?
I mean, I guess so.
You guess so. You guess so. How's successful has been so far?
I don't want to say too much about him, but yeah.
that. How does one convert a OTP into a little kitten? Just curious.
And
need to study
I carry
this
too
man.
many of his games. Carry too many of his games.
Bro found a big strong man in his life. He's like, you know what, guys?
That's what
I don't know,
Elo will
change
do
your
to
heart.
someone. Yeah.
The brother wants that elo so badly. Not even
Getting
Zeri at
LP.
this point.
I mean, he's just having fun with it after hitting his goal.
Yeah,
of
he's
this,
basically just chilling now.
Yeah, bro, he's doing
He just
tricks on the
messaged me and said like, "Oh, I just want to chill and play some like chill games." Even though the games for me weren't that chill, but it was kind of chill.
AD carry is
What about
stressful.
was
Yeah.
it the 50-minute game I watched you guys play? The first one?
No, it was the last one. It was the last one I had. It was just
Oh yeah,
basically
because you were done after that game. You're like, I can't play
Yeah.
anymore.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
But okay, moving on. Of course, that jungle podcast. Now we got to talk about the jungle, which means, oh boy, there's gonna be a lot of opinions on this. I guess let's just start straight away. Of course, Sin, you've already given your voice on some of these ideas. I want to hear around the table, right? What do you guys think is like the current meta right now for junglers? What do you guys think? Who do you think are the strongest junglers? Who do you think are being picked the most? Who have you seen the most? What are your opinions on them?
In my opinion, I still think the best solo queue champions for like actually climbing are still like 3 or 4 different champions. I'd say like Jarvan, Lee Sin, Graves, Viego. They're always consistently good, strong jungle carries. And you see all of the high elo players whenever they climb, those are the main 4 they play. Maybe they play a bit of Elise, and then when I saw some Brand and Zyra jungle when they were pretty strong. But those are pretty much constantly what I see as the best like solo queue junglers. Right now, I feel like they're pretty good in terms of the meta because they did just nerf the tanks, but they were decent into the tanks just because they could perma fight. But yeah, I think those 4 are the main ones right now that are the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. I've been seeing those
would
characters a
agree.
lot, and I actually don't mind metas like this, where it's very classic jungle characters, like not any weird shit. So you know what to expect. It makes the flow of the game easier to predict, and I prefer that. And especially when I'm playing a champ that likes to scale and focus on breakpoints.
I agree until you get to like high elo, where it's like in jungle is usually either like jungle players that can express a lot or like OTPs. Like if we're talking about like high elo, I think like champions like Rengar is like kind of really good in high elo because they know what they're doing and they just have like infinite hours on this like champion. And they're just like menace in the jungle, and they're
Which
really
team?
good. Hmm?
For which team though?
I'm just like in general, like Rengar in the team, like the team that has the Rengar usually
Oh,
is
okay,
like
okay.
is kind of like enjoying themselves. They can like pop ADC, it's blah blah blah. Stuff happens. They're just like so good on these like I feel like another one's like Talon. I've been playing a lot of Talon because there was this one streamer I just watched and he's like really good. It's like and like even though Talon isn't that good in the jungle, he makes it look like it's like the best jungler in the game. Like he like pulls off insane like games where like he shouldn't have won, but because he's playing Talon and he gets all these like special things that like these junglers like special things that these champions have than like the meta junglers I would say like don't, and it's kind of interesting.
An OTP then. Okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think
we've flamed you enough for your talent. I don't want to return to that. Even though it's the jungle episode, maybe Sin, you can return to that if you want. Do you have any thoughts, Sin, on the format you said?
I, I mean, I don't. I have a question though. I think it's like an interesting question actually
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
Vincent.
yeah
Vincent, you like played jungle for like quite a bit, like quite a
yeah
long
yeah
time.
yeah yeah.
What would you say was the biggest like hurdle you had to get over?
um I think for me it's a mixture of things. I think it's being at the right place at the right time, like anticipating where their jungler is, clearing well. I had a really bad time with clearing. I think clearing is one of my. It's not like in like me clearing is bad. It's just like knowing what clear is good for the for like specific objective timers and like you need to adapt for the games. Like let's say you get invaded or something. And I think a really big one, that I didn't properly like grasp is like punishing the other jungler when the jungler is on the opposite side. Like I would like take my blue side and then I see jungler and I would back and then that's my play. Even though I can maybe go top lane, do something top side because he's not there. You know what I'm saying? I think abusing the fact that I like where the jungler is.
I think the term you're looking for
Together.
is pathing.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
pathing, cross mapping, cycling your camps,
Yeah,
and any of the
yeah.
above. Right. I mean, honestly, before because I think actually that'd be a good segue into asking, what do you guys think about like would be the issue for new players entering the jungle and stuff. I want to say with Matthew's 4 picks, right? I'm gonna go. I hate Viego. I think that champ is completely useless. I genuinely hate seeing on my team. I think it's so genuinely easy to beat that champion in skirmishes with a lot of different picks. And I think the champion really requires your team to actually play around you. And in solo queue, you don't get that. And even if they do play around you, the champ is so flippant because his kit is terrible.
I think it's the opposite. I completely oppose that.
I kind of
Completely.
agree with
What?
Zach, but I also kind of disagree because the enemy team is also like not really that organized, so maybe you can like punish that for them. But I do agree with him like 60-70%.
I want to say in a solo queue environment, this champion is like super easy to play. Like this
No, I
champion
agree.
is
He's really easy to play, but I think that to me, he's like the new learning jungler for anyone who wants to learn jungle because he's so easy to pull off. But in my opinion, he's also super easy to punish. Like I think his kit is terrible.
Oh,
but
are we
because of his
talking?
resets?
He's
like,
Are we
too
talking about
popular
like
for sure.
new? Are we talking about like
Yeah.
new players
No,
picking
I'm
up
just saying. I'm
Viego?
saying in general. I agree that he's
Oh, in
easy
general.
to play.
Oh,
agree
I
he's
think
easy to
okay,
play,
okay.
but
I think it's completely opposite, right? I think if Viego, right, if this champion is like absurdly broken, he like if he's like good or not good, but like if he picks up a couple of kills, it's so hard to carry the game when he's on the team. Like he like picks off one or two, and it's just such a headache to deal with.
that's the same as anyone who gets fed. They get fed, and
But
it's
like
always
it's
hard to beat
different.
them.
But it's different because like he's like a Master Yi, a Belveth, like these kind of champions with these resets. But like he can do them, but like better. I mean, he has like insane damage as well. I feel like he's just really. He's like Belveth, Master Yi, Bruise. He's just I don't know. This champion's like insane in my
Bro,
opinion.
I actually think Belvet's a better option to Viego, but
I
like,
completely disagree.
I
completely
just-
disagree.
With Viego, there's very certain comps that you can really pick him with because you need to get someone to be able on your team that can sort of force a pick. So he's really good at punishing mistakes with his team. But if your team doesn't punish mistakes, then you can't really do anything. So I kind of agree with what Zach says, but it also he can carry. I'm not saying you said he couldn't carry, but like his playstyle, he needs like a catch support or a catch mid laner, that someone that can get that first kill for him to get the resets. Then he can carry and he can punish mistakes easily. But yeah, he does have to kind of rely on his team to get that pick. But
I mean,
that being said, if you pick him in those comps, then you'll like almost certainly win, just because if you do play him right, then you can just get the pick each time. So I think he's very good with certain comps, but in other comps he's really bad. So it's just gotta
also-
learn when to pick him.
and when you're talking about like when picks and whatnot, I think like also a big thing about making what makes Viego really good is like the enemy makes mistakes and he just is so good at punishing mistakes. He just like gets a reset and then just like it goes haywire. This champion's okay. I'm glazing this champion. He's just so good in my opinion. He's like so OP.
I don't see like things. I think like I said, I think he's really easy to play, and people have finally realized that after like the 2 years he's been out. And again, like he's never really weak. I agree, but I think because he's so easy to play, he's picked so much. I think he shouldn't be picked so highly. I think there's definitely better champs that just not as popular. And
Yeah,
that's why I really don't like it. Because like I said, because I think, again, without the ultimate, right? Like, you can, like, Viego is like one of those junglers. I think you can actually shatter the game pre-6, like, no problem.
Okay,
Like,
I agree with
genuinely.
that. Yeah.
Because I think he's so easy to predict, like, what he's going to do. And also his kit is just terrible, bro. His kit is so terrible.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, the only
think-
flex game we lost today was the fucking Garen jungle. How disgusting is that?
I feel like when
that ain't
he-
my problem.
When he like starts picking up kills, it exponentiates the game. Like it speeds up the game
But
Yeah,
that's-
but
For what
that
character is
idea
that not
about-
true, bro?
Yeah, no, but I
This
think
isn't a fair
especially with
argument.
like Viego, I feel like this champion. No, okay, I will stop
Okay,
the
you know,
glazing.
no. To be fair, I'm not gonna be like rude to you, man. But I'm just gonna say I swear it's an elo thing. Like I legit swear, like it's an elo thing at that point.
No,
'Cause,
it's
like,
not
in the
even
lower
in.
elo game. No, in the lower elo games, I agree. Like him especially, he's because people don't know how to beat him, right? But like when you climb up more and more, I swear he's like so easy to beat. And it gets to a point where Viego is never like, even in the highest elos, right? He's never the main carry. He's just a facilitator at that point. But you then know, okay, we get one pick for Viego, and as long as if Viego gets a reset, the rest of the team can play the game. But he's not the main carry. He's just kind of like a piece.
Yeah,
of
in the higher elos, when you're playing Viego, you kind of win if your team's already winning. He has such little
Exactly.
agency, ability to like. Let's say there's a Drake and the enemy's lanes are pushed. What do you do? Like, actually, what do you do?
Yeah.
You can't do anything. You just have to
Like I think
pray that one of your teammates chunks someone enough for your art to land. Otherwise, you
Exactly, like,
literally
he
just have
relies
to
too
sit
much.
there and wait in your E, maybe smite steal. Like, I mean, that's one redeeming thing of the champ is smite steal is quite easy to pull off. But
Yeah.
other than that, like, I think we're giving way too much credit to his agency. He has very little agency into
like, I
teams
think-
that already have the edge, like, borderline unplayable.
Also, Diego has like, I mean, recently he's been really strong because his numbers were a bit overtuned. To be honest with you, I feel like he's a stat check champion more than anything, especially in the early game. But like, whenever his numbers aren't like completely out of tune, he just gets destroyed by a lot of the meta junglers in the early game, like completely, even after level 6. Like, you know what I mean? Like in a 1v1, like in a 2v2 skirmish, you know, if he gets focused down, he just gets popped instantly, almost always, in my case. But yeah.
I like I said, I'm not gonna go on too much about that. But like I really other junglers, I agree with the other three. But Viego, I despise that champ. I think he does nothing, and I think he's so easy to beat. Like I've not lost to Viego once yet. I think that champ is so easy to beat. But enough of our tirade. And we'll go on to the segment we should have gone to probably 5 minutes ago. New players and jungling, of course, because Vincent, you picked it up recently, so you obviously talked about your issue with cycling camps,
Yeah.
your issue with pathing, cross
Yeah.
mapping, understanding these things. What do you guys think would be like? What could be improved to actually make jungling healthier for new players? Like, if there's anything, because I think for new players, right, jungling's not too bad, but it also doesn't explain. There's nothing explained to you about what you should do. Like, there's no indicator, and
Yeah,
then
it's
you're
not
also told you
intuitive.
so many things.
It's definitely not intuitive, and you have to kind of figure out like what's good at certain times.
Probably
And
be a
that's
big,
what
big waste of company resources, but I feel like they did such a good job with like the Valorant tutorial, like how to take side, how to use util, what your priorities are. If they just did a similar little thing of like, okay, here's how the average jungle game plays out.
Yeah.
Here's the situations you'll be in, and they give you a little drill, like, okay, try a smite steal, try taking crab, do like
Yeah.
click on the right,
Also,
decide the right path for this game. Just a little tutorial like that, and immediately like loads of new players who would never have even dared touch the jungle role, because it is quite an intimidating role, even though it's become very easy to get into. Loads of players would just see a tutorial like this when they first boot up League and be like, "Oh, this is a role I can play." Whereas the way it is now, League is presented as just this laning game that happens to have a jungle role in it. Even though jungle is one of the most impactful roles, you have this weird paradigm where I think that there's like a big elo gap or like skill gap in terms of elos on junglers, like a lot of inflation because the player base is so small but the impact is so big.
I would also like to add to Virgil's point. The game literally teaches you nothing about jungle in the tutorial. Like, I didn't even know it was a role until I actually started playing the game. And not even like instantly either, because the first few games, like, you don't even have smite. You know?
the
So,
Yeah.
the only
yeah.
thing I feel like they give you is like jungle pathing, and then that's it, and then you're left with your own like devices.
Even then, that can enter you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always good
exactly.
to just
It
do
doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't really tell you like, and if like a new player falls in the sinkhole of, oh,
Yeah.
this is what League tells me to do, then it must be good, and I will do it every game. And then it's like,
And that's the thing, is it's not even situationally accurate, it's literally just a map based off what the most popular thing is on that champ.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It has nothing to do with whether it's good that game or not.
And I feel like another issue with it, like one of the main issues, is there's like very, very little skills that transfer from laning to jungle. Like you don't need to last hit. You don't need to manage waves. You don't need to manage your resources. You don't need to manage your health. You don't need to ward. I mean, you need to ward now and again, but you could just track the jungle and that's fine. Even tracking jungle, which can be used in lanes, I guess, but it's a lot harder in lanes if you don't, because you've got your own lane to focus on.
Some
There's
interesting thoughts though.
very little transfer from lanes to jungle, I think, other than obviously the fighting and the skirmishing, but that's just League itself. So
Alright, question guys. If you could do, like, the budget wasn't a problem, implementation wasn't a challenge, what one change or several changes would you do to the jungle role to make it into what you think it should be?
I mean, the thing is, I think the jungle role itself is fine, but I think what we would, I mean, okay, like not talking about player experience. I think genuinely speaking, I think we should take jungle back to that role where it's really strong. It's got some insanely good champs in it, like your Lee Sin and whatnot, who have insane stats, insane fighting power. But the jungle has to be like at least a level or two behind the solo laners consistently. Like they should never be at a point where junglers are actually, the same level as solo laner without being too overfed. Like I don't know what I had to do to change that, but like that's how it used to be. I remember for a long time, and that was the balancing factor, right? Because you had so many junglers that were really strong, but you didn't play mid lane because Lee Sin level 3 helps my level 5 mid laner kind of thing, as opposed to Lee Sin level 5 is now ganking level 4 mid laner because he's somehow got level 5 after getting 2 grabs and a kill. Like, huh?
I completely agree. I think there's been a merging recently. Riot's been trying to facilitate champs in multiple roles, which I don't think is very smart from a balance perspective. And you have this idea that the laners can be junglers and junglers can be laners, but what that inevitably leads to is that certain champs that were balanced around the fact that they are a jungler, like this is a jungler, have now sort of had to be they just feel off, you know. They never feel quite right because they were always balanced as this character. Like, well, back when we had the jungle, the different smites, the blades, like I can't remember the name of them, but where you'd get unique jungle items. Unique jungle items was such a great idea because they helped balance these unique characters in such a way that they could be played a level down, but still have the impact that they need to have and nothing more. Whereas now, it feels like a kind of do-it-all role. Just feels like the speedway ticket to climbing, if you're an independent player.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I,
sorry, go for it.
I also like want to add like to the fact like when Virgil mentioned like they're making champs like fit in jungle and whatnot, right? Like I remember recently the most like in recent memory the most miserable meta for me as a jungle player was when they made Brand and Zara jungle very like strong. It was such a miserable meta in general, like because you were punished for taking initiative as a jungler. Because if you ganked somebody and it didn't work out really well for your team, even if you got a kill, like for example, if I ganked bot lane and I killed the enemy support, that's not enough. Like the enemy jungler will have took like 2 3 counts by now, and I'm down a whole level or like a level and a half the entire game, and every objective fight, every skirmish you're at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? So it just incentivizes just like full clear into full clear into full clear, and then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just it's just not fun. Like yeah, and especially like champs like Zach, you play Zyra, so you can maybe like add to this, right? Like I used to think, right, like maybe if I invaded her and took her plants, right, like the seeds,
Yeah.
I would ruin her clear. The same way, like if I'm playing against a Shaco, I always like tell my team late invade, right, to get the boxes. And if you do that against a Shaco, it works. His clear is so fucked, right? But against Zyra, bro, she still cleared way faster than me, even after I took all her plants.
I
It
mean,
felt
it just evens the clear out at that point. Like literally, it's like instead of 3 or 4, okay, my bad, I'll get a 321. Like okay, you're right.
yeah,
Like
but
it's pretty ridiculous. It's not actually punishing enough. For some
yeah,
champs.
exactly.
I feel like a lot
Like
of the
even if you take the
problem
camp,
is that, like, when Riot tries to put these champs in jungle, like, fundamentally, they're just not what a jungler is. They
yeah.
don't really have ganking tools. All they have to them is this crazy clear, and it's so forced. It's
I mean,
like,
that's always they buff. Because remember with the Darius thing, it's like bleed to monsters like it goes up like 150%. and then they tuned it 300%. Same with the Dino one. It's like, oh, damage to monsters is like insanely high. Then they toned them way back down.
Yeah, it's like
And
if you
it's like-
really wanted to make these characters a jungler, why not change their kit? Like, the kit, make a kit that facilitates ganking if that's what you want them to be. But these hybrid characters, they don't make any sense.
It's really unique, yeah, because they do really just change jungle speed. Speed. I can't think of one. I mean, the only thing I can think of was like Rel, where it's like they gave her jungle buff, jungle damage buffs. But obviously, then she became a strong jungler because she's such an insanely good flex between jungle support, especially in the competitive scene. And then it was like, even though her clear wasn't quick, her ganks were perfect because she was literally designed for that, right? She has pure CC in every ability at that point.
I would have been really happy with Rel Jungle if they didn't
liked it.
overturn her Q damage so bad to the point where she had the best smite without like any effort. Like Lee Sin had a really good smite, but Lee Sin, it was very telegraphed. You need to set it up, you need to hit the first Q, and then you take the second Q, execute the smite at the same time. Rel, you just Q smite it, and it had such a strong smite that it felt like that was literally my only problem with Rel Jungle. I feel like if that wasn't such an issue, it could have been actually like really fun. Like
I think it was
in,
great. Yeah.
but yeah, that was the only thing I didn't really like about
was
Rel Jungle.
It was 300% bonus damage to monsters, I think I remember. And I wish they didn't. I wish, like I said, they gave it the Diana treatment where it's like, okay, we're just gonna half the damage numbers. It's still viable, but we still would rather you play as support, right? Like you play jungle, it's fine, but it'd have to be very matchup dependent then. But instead, they just kicked it out of jungle and reworked it, and I was like, yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah. You know what's actually a jungler a champion that I would think would be a really good jungler? This is every time I say this, I get with mixed reviews, so I'm curious to see what you guys think. But I think Quinn Jungle would be really fun if they ever made that a thing.
I think, I mean, I hate Quinn. I don't like seeing Quinn on my screen. I think it's a dirty character. However, like as an archetype, I feel like it makes more sense than her playing on lane, and it'll probably be somehow less annoying than when she's fed on lane. Because the way it feels right now is like you get Quinn picked. Where can you pick Quinn? You can only pick Quinn in lanes where your team would much rather have like some zone control, some tank, like some frontline, something like that. So you're sacrificing a huge part of your team comp to have this really niche flip character, and then when she gets fed, it becomes a nightmare for enemy team. And it's just like you can't really play League of Legends anymore properly. Whereas if she was a jungler, it would make more sense. Like she's stuck behind the level 6, so she clears, doesn't have much agency, and then she has a really crazy ganks. Like that just makes more sense.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Would a ganks be crazy? I feel like it should just be like a B-Tech Nunu at that point.
It's
Like,
like a
Whatever, like,
point and click
Tavern.
Nunu. It'd be point and click Nunu. So it's like that's
I feel
your
like
trade off.
Yeah, but she would be
It's
like better
fun.
at skirmishes. Like she's a later Nunu, but better at skirmishes. Like once you get level 6 and whatnot.
It
You know what I mean?
it
Like,
wouldn't be as
So, like,
like
Tavern.
potent. It wouldn't be as potent as landing the snowball. However, you'd also be in a position where like when Nunu misses a snowball and he's stood next to a champ with all their cooldowns up, what the fuck do you do? You pray you proc your
Yeah.
phase rush and get the fuck out of there, whereas Quinn can auto you down, kite, and she has more options there.
Yeah, I think Matthew is correct. Also, she'd be just like a range attacker, but I feel like that's just a cool concept in general.
Hmm.
I mean, the thing is, it's not a bad idea. It's not bad. I could definitely see it. Yeah, I think in the current meta, no, but like in general, yeah. I was thinking like when you mentioned Quinn, I was thinking like I took it on the same way as like Galio, where it's like even if she was like twisted towards the jungle, it'd be like it's still rather put her like mid lane, right? You just kind of shove the wave, walk off and out of vision. Enemy team has to play back a bit, or you punish it, kind of thing. And it's like because like in theory, like you look at Galio for example, I always thought, oh, this champ is the perfect jungler. It makes sense, right? Like he has insane ganking potential. He has good skirmishing power. He has good early game. He's got decent power spikes. But of course, then they locked him behind by limiting his jungle damage because they knew he could be like a somewhat decent jungler. But even
Yeah.
then, like in mid lane it works because you get guaranteed resource waves in mid. You can just shove the wave and move kind of thing. Same with Quinn in that regard. I mean, yeah, that's fair. We can. Obviously, mentioning that, I was thinking actually, like, do you guys have any it's not off meta jungle picks, but like, is there anything off the top of your head you think again like is underrated? A champ that you think should be played more, a jungler that isn't prominent, but you think actually that's a really good jungler, people should play it, kind of thing? Because I got a couple in my mind, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Hmm.
I mean, Virgil knows about what I think.
Oh yeah, well,
About
I mean, I think I even brought it up earlier. We lost to it
yeah,
just earlier.
yeah.
But
I think,
the spin master from Demacia, the master of spin
yeah,
jutsu
I think
himself.
Garen Jungle is so hidden. I think it's good. I actually think it's really good. Like,
Okay, how
uh,
come?
it's like the clear is really fast. Especially like the first clear is like fine. It's not like slow or fast, but it gets really fast with items, like very quickly. The ganks are like whatever, yeah, like it's meh. But his objectives are like objective clear is good. His skirmishes are really OP. Once you get level 6 with arcane arcane axiom, the arcanist axiom, that rune, you just like get your ult per mob because you're a jungler. You can just like look for anyone who's half HP, like clear towards them, go just Q flash R them, and then you just go clear again. You have your ult again. Like Virgil saw how good it is in like the early mid game. Like I think that game I dropped like 15 something kills, like without even like trying that
Yeah.
much. The champ is just
A lot of what
is really
makes a good jungler applies to Garen as well, in terms of objectives especially. Because he has a crazy ability to just decide one character. No, you don't get to play the game. Like, if you step here, I'm gonna fucking one-shot you.
yep.
Which really benefits smite contests and zone control. It's like, everyone's been in this situation where you have a quite like a fed Garen. You're like, how do I take space versus this abomination?
Yep.
But yeah, there you go. Garen jungle. I think that's gonna be both of our answers there.
Interesting. Any other thoughts? Because mine's pretty similar actually. Mine's generally quite similar.
I think I've been playing a lot of Kindred. I think she's really good. I think
Fair,
this
that's
champion's
fair.
very nice to play. Though it's like very situational, but in most like into like bruises and that, I think like she's really good. I like her playing into like bruises. Maybe not tanks. Like I don't like playing Kindred into like Skarner or something. But like into like Viegos, I think into other like Lee Sin is like fine. It's like
Wait,
completely
what?
fine.
Still into Kindred. How fake is this chat?
Elo check
I
question
think
mark?
Kindred into Lee Sin's fine. Like
What?
honestly.
If it's a good lead sin, I don't think
You
Kindred's gonna.
certainly think a lot of things.
Yeah,
I'll
if
tell
it's
you
a
that
good.
much.
Bro, again, I'm not gonna be rude, but again, you gotta hit the Elo check when he says this sometimes. I think. But
Bro,
I mean,
that's
bro,
so unbelievable.
I respect
I mean,
it. He has the confidence to say often like the
I mean,
opposite opinions of
I like hearing his thoughts a
yeah.
lot. I always do. Right or wrong does not matter. I
Mad
like hearing his
respect, mad
thoughts.
respect.
Bro, I was thinking, so obviously the underrated jungler, right? That I'm thinking of right now is Udyr. I think that champ is so
Yeah.
OP. And a lot of
Yep.
people don't play it, but the people who play him have been like, oh yeah, this champ is so good again. He works so well, especially with the
Yep.
heavy AD melee meta again, where you kind of just like, or into tanks if the people still play like Skarner, Sejuani or
Yeah.
not.
He is just
It's
the
like
Yep.
CEO, like he's the kingpin item abuser. As soon as there's an item that's a bit crazy, Udia picks it up and he suddenly becomes a monster again.
Yeah.
It just works so amazingly, and then like again, like I think that's super underrated. I can't think of like genuine matchups where I'm thinking like, oh, Udi is going to struggle with the current meta. Like I really can't think of any of them because, like we said before, the best junglers right now are very like AD heavy champs, and even if they take the Maokai Sejuani, Udia still goes fine at those guys, no problem.
Hmm.
There's no like I don't know, there's no like niddly that like really punishes him. There's no, I mean, I don't think Elise has enough power to fight him, does she?
Yeah.
No. Like I would say the really hard matchups are like champs that are like really high skill ceilings, so most people just can't even pilot them. And you know what I mean? And if you get like a defensive item towards them, then you just don't really need to play that matchup. You just play with your team. You know, it's just like, and Udyr is just really, really strong because he has such a high tempo. Like, if you know how to clear on Udyr, you can like do a full clear 308. Like that's your first clear, and then you get your faded ashes, you get your dark sea, and you just completely like snowball out of the game. Like the champ is just not not balanced. Even like when you're building tank on him, if enemies are isolated, you just do QQ. You fucking like half HP. They may just they're like what they don't even know what happened to them. Like he's a tank that's really good at killing other tanks. He's like very good at skirmishes. He's good at frontlining. Like he can't engage, but like you just have an engaged support or a pick like mid laner, and then you can just follow up, and then that's the champ's weakness gone. You know.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. Yeah. I think cause again, I've seen you occasionally play it, and I swear each time you play it, it's like really, really free game for you. You play it really well.
Yeah, I used to joke about how Udyr players are handless, and then I became an Udyr player myself. And it's just it goes full circle, bro.
I've heard you having some maniacal fun on that champ. Like some of the emotions I hear from you when you're playing that character, I don't hear on any other character.
Bro, once you know the limits on that champ, the shit I can get away with, it's so much. Like, I showed Virgil clips of like of my Udyr crimes, right? Like a Udyr who knows his limit can get away with so much, like so much. It's not even like allowed. But yeah,
I mean, that's been right in front of us for years. Trick 2G. It's
yeah,
been running amok before that champ even got reworked. It's always been known for classic clips of just getting away with crazy situations. Yeah.
Casual flash bear slap. Good old fashioned. But I mean, the other champ I was thinking, which is like really not a jungler, and I don't want to continue that trend too much, but I was thinking Darius. Like I've always played Darius jungle every now and then, just because I think it's really fun. I think the champ does work really well. And the thing is, again, I think it's like people don't expect it, and especially if you don't play top lane, people still don't understand Darius's damage count. And again, like you said, like limits on Udyr, like Darius is like a B-Tech version of Udyr, but he still works for someone who doesn't play Udyr like myself. Like he just has that ability to like you don't go in first really, but if you know your limits, if you know what you're doing, you can suddenly turn anything into like a good game for yourself, you know. And your clear is so easy. Like your clear is actually still so quick, even after they like changed it like 3 years ago.
Yeah, one trend among like champions that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be good at jungle and junglers, like classic junglers, are just flash usage. Like champs that can use their flash effectively in those key moments tend to have that sort of jungle threat. And so that's why like Darius Garen might not at first seem like they make sense as junglers, but because jungle comes down often to pivotal moments and usage of cooldowns and summoner spells, and they just have such crazy potential with their flash compared to a lot of other characters. I think that's part of their strength.
That's fair evaluation. I think the only thing I say about Garen, right, is I think compared to Darius, right, I think Garen people give too much respect to when his ult is down, which I noticed and I really hate. Because that's the only reason I'd argue against Garen jungle is because I think Garen without his ultimate, right, until he is level 13, and even then, he's without his ultimate, he's so much of a weaker champ. Like he genuinely can't do anything alone. Unless you just like if you decide to 1v1 him, sure you can still lose, right? But like people don't punish him when his ult is down. And even then I genuinely think, even when Garen's ult is up, if he's jungle, he's really not that much of a threat. Like if you have vision of him, he's really not that much of a threat. Because again, like I said before, like Viego, he's so choreographed. You know exactly what he's gonna do, you can outplay it very easily. Of course, if his flash is up, there's a different story, right? But like I said, like if his flash is down, if his ult is down or whatever, I think he's really not that hard to beat.
Yeah, he's barely even a champ when he doesn't have those.
But then,
tools.
to be fair, that's also because I played a lot of Garen, so I can kind of like, you know what I mean? I know the limits really easily. So if I came against that, I wouldn't be scared. But if people don't play against that, I can understand. I get your point of like he's actually not a bad jungler. He could definitely fit into that. He could fill that hole easily. But I mean, yeah. So any other champs? Any other ideas? Not including Talon.
I mean, like one thing, I don't know if like anyone shares this opinion, and maybe it's because I like playing her myself, but I wish there was more Nidalee. Or maybe I wish Nidalee was a bit easier so that the Nidalees in my games wasn't almost a guaranteed loss, you know? Because I really like the character. I think she's cool visually. Her gameplay is really fun. She feels fair to face most of the time, barring a few Magi's incidents. But I don't know. She's just like, and she just seems like visually, thematically, she is like the jungler. But you never really get to see her, whether it be because of the skill ceiling or something else. So I kind of wish we saw more Nidalee, but that's just me.
I also feel like the payoff for Nidalee is not nearly like as high as it should be. Like,
Hmm.
like I feel like Nidalee should be like somewhat like Elise. Like Elise, I would say is a high skill like ceiling jungler. Like a really good Elise can just completely take over the game like from the start to the end, right? But like there's that payoff. Like if your Elise is good, you know you win your game. If your Elise is bad, you lose the game. But it's just like I feel like with Nidalee, it takes so much more effort to like take control of that game. You know what I mean?
I think we also got a glimpse, you and I both got a glimpse of just like the potential for how fun these characters could be if they were easier, and that comes from the viability of Leandries on both Elise and Nidalee. Like when
Yeah.
it sort of turns it into a much easier champ with just more of a bruisery style. But I think what that revealed is like, oh, when you make these champs easier, they're actually quite fun for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Somewhat. I'd agree somewhat. I think because like when you talk about what is a jungle champ, like you think Nidalee, I also think like Lee Sin, right? And I think Lee Sin is very accessible. Like unironically, I think
Yeah.
once you've put like again, once you play the game for like a year, 2 years maybe at most, like Lee Sin goes from like this, oh, this champ seems so hard to wait, the champ's actually not that hard. I've just got to learn to recast properly. Whereas Nidalee, obviously the two form thing makes it a bit different. But I would agree. I wouldn't say you
Yeah.
should make them easier, but I do genuinely think Nidalee should be a bit stronger, right? Even if that does skew like the higher elos, but I don't think that's really that much of an issue because there's so many strong junglers and responses to it now. That I genuinely don't
Yeah.
think if we buff Nidalee should even be that much of an issue. Should just
That's
be better.
yeah, that's why I'd like to see him. Well, again, it might not necessarily be good for the game balance, but I'd like to see her skewed more towards the bruisery style, because it doesn't
That would be
necessarily.
good.
Because the OTPs, if you give them too much power on the burst build, is just curtains, especially in high elo. But with the bruiser build, you have just more like average power level throughout the game. Then it's not
There's
so
only
much of
so
a
many.
problem.
There's
Yeah.
only so many AP bruisers anyway. I think
Hmm.
to be honest, like I said, like when I think of AP junglers, like I genuinely like I just don't want to see things like Karthus. Like I don't mind the Elise, I don't mind the Nidalee at all. I much prefer them to the Karthus. I think
God,
Karthus
it's
is
I
like
so
agree.
boring, bro.
like
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees
Yeah.
like it's so easy and you can't like things. The funny part is you can't even actually punish it because he will just hit his spikes at some point and he can just be useful. Like the only way you genuinely punish it is if the guy is inting on the champ. Like it's just ridiculous. I genuinely despise Karthus. And like I'd be much happier because there's only like again like there's 4 AP junglers I think off the top of my head. I think Lilia, I think Nidalee, Elise, and Karthus, and most of the time it's just Karthus, right? Maybe you get Lilia because they got 4 frontline, right? But like otherwise you go Karthus, guys. We need AP Karthus. Oh, they got 5 dashes. Maybe to Leah. Otherwise Karthus. I
I,
hate that champ
I
so
know you
much.
guys have noticed as well when bringing up Lilia. That champion's player base just vanished as soon as she became like somewhat balanced. Like what the hell happened to the Lilia players? I used to see that champ every game. They bring her down to like a reasonable, like she's still fine. She still does a great job. The player base disappears overnight as soon as she gets nerfed.
Yeah, she's A tier right now, but people don't play her unless she's like completely S tier. Like she's
Yeah,
actually A tier
I
right
don't get it either. She's fun even when she's not like one-shotting people with a single key. Like she's still fun. But
I
Words
think to be
can't describe
fair,
how much I hate that champion, bro. Like genuinely though, words can't describe.
yeah, you're
Like
an
literally,
Udia player though. That's why you're an Udia player. I know exactly why you hate that champion.
it's not
And a
just
Graves player.
Graves. Yeah, and she cucks both my champs, bro.
Like, well, I get it. To be fair though, I think when it comes to champ, I do think she really just sucks early game, which is the only reason people don't play her right now. Not because the people who play her have a brain and know that she sucks early game, right? They're just meta farmers, right? But like anyone who actually plays champ goes, okay, unless it's perfect situation, I'm not gonna pick Lilia when they have like Wukong who can just easily go on me, or they have
yeah,
Lee Sin who can, if he eases me once and he recasts it, I'm screwed. Like, you know what I mean?
a lot of jungle popularity does come down to like, does it feel good to click on my camps early game? And I definitely agree that it just doesn't feel nice that first clear. So even when you finish it, you're like, okay, maybe I got my fated ashes now, but that first clear is just a burden. It's a chore.
I mean, it's just about keeping her passive stacks up. Like I said, like it's like if it's not like full melee and she's not like turbo OP, like if she's not turbo OP or it's not full melee when she's balanced like she's now, again, you're not really going to keep your stacks up, and people just they don't know how to play around that. They don't know how to play not correctly. That'd be wrong to say, but they don't know how to recognize the situation and adjust to it more so because they're so used to playing it with like one style. But yeah, honestly, I think yeah, we want more AP junglers that are like skillful. I think we're all happy to agree with that.
I wanted to
One
like.
champion.
Oh, no,
Uh,
sorry, go ahead.
One champion that I would kind of like to see. I feel like in most lanes anyway, just because I think he's a cool champ and I enjoy playing him, is Pantheon. Like I feel like I don't see him anymore, like at all in any
Really?
games.
He's
Yeah.
definitely picked up in popularity, not just in like
Mm.
vibes, but like
I've
in
seen
general.
I've seen a
I'm
little bit of
surprised.
Pantheon, yeah.
Like a plus, I see.
But like, I want to play him jungle because I remember when he was good jungle. That was so fun. But I
What
feel
is
like he's
he?
just
Oh, yeah.
I don't know his current state. 'Cause
It's
I haven't
perfectly
really
fine. No,
seen
no,
him.
it's so good.
Yeah,
But
Okay, it's not so
I
good.
think
It's
he's
just
pretty
fine.
fine. Yeah.
as long as it clips in the game, like you just kill
Like,
everyone.
that doesn't even eclipse anymore. It's just like as long as the champ has like as long as he's as strong as he is, like he's not gonna get much weaker. Even though he kind of needs a bit of a nerf, in my opinion. But I think the champ's perfectly fine. I think his versatility is like unironically one of those few times, except in support. I hate when he's played support. I think it's cringe as hell. But I
Agree.
like the versatility
Big
of him
agree.
with like solo lanes in jungle. But that's again, I think that's the issue, right? It's because like I swear when a champ like Pantheon becomes meta, and like when Maokai becomes meta, it's like no one thinks about Maokai top too much. They think, oh, Maokai jungle, Maokai support, right? And then when Pantheon becomes strong, most people pick it up and go, oh guys, I can just play a support because I can just play like a psychopath and get away with it because support is so easy.
Yeah.
But
I think
then
maybe
it's such, like,
maybe there's opportunity for that to die down a bit after the Bloodsong nerfs.
I hope so. But honestly, like I said, like I think, I mean, I can talk about Pantheon, it don't matter. But I think he's fine right now. You should play him jungle if you can.
Hmm.
okay.
I know a lot about it, so it's like.
I actually really enjoy him mid lane when I can get away with it, but you can't really do that much these days.
I
see a
actually
lot
think you
of
do it more. I think more now.
You think so?
Like high.
Sorry, you said something?
Yeah, I see a lot of like Pantheon jungle and like GM and Master like high elo, like a lot actually.
Yeah, they
Like
picked it
it's
up again.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think, with regards, I think you can do it more now because I think if you play Pantheon mid, I think what you want for Pantheon mids, you want like full lethality one shot, and with Electrocute, assuming you're not playing against like Talia Syndra, you can do that to anyone in mid lane, no problem. Talia Syndra, Galio, I guess. Galio is also annoying as fuck. And I guess as the Galio is the only thing that's really strong right now out of those three, aside from Syndra being just always strong. So I would say like Pantheon mid's viable now if you're willing to the Electrocute lethality build, as opposed to traditional like.
Yeah, I haven't tried it
Yeah.
yet, but Conqueror is really what I enjoy on that charm, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
same, 100% same. But he's definitely viable mid again. Yeah, so buff AV junglers, learn Pantheon. I swear to God, it's worth it. It's fun as hell.
I
You
wanted
can
to
ask champ.
Virgil's point when he said like Lydia's like first clear is bad and whatnot, and I want to bring up one of my favorite junglers who has been completely fucking like reworked and destroyed when it comes to clearing. Virgil knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's an infamous champ. Not a lot of people like it when it's meta, but bro, Rek'Sai, my beloved, holy, that champ got gutted. That champ
Bro,
got
that's like I remember there was just a game where I was like random playing it in Flex, like first timing, and I was like, "What is this? This cannot be right. Did I forget my fucking jungle item or something?" I look at my inventory; it's right there. I'm like, they actually expect the players to do this clear and like enjoy it. There's no fucking way, right?
bro,
Like it's crazy.
such clear. You're super low HP. If you get invaded, you just die and lose the game on the spot. And it's like low HP. Like I get making you low HP so because they don't want Rek'Sai level 3 in ganks, right? Because it's not fun for everyone, right?
Hmm.
But like make the clear like slightly slower than most junglers. Like it shouldn't be that fucking slow, and it doesn't get better with items. Even if you rush Sidebreaker, it's still so miserably slow. It's just it killed all joy. Like it took all the fun out of playing that champ for me. Like she used to be one of my mains. Like Vincent knows how much I used to play that champ, but gone, bro. I don't play that shit anymore.
Yeah.
What do you think about a change where maybe they reduce the availability or increase the cooldown or something about her tunnels? Just make the tunnels way less available in the kit in return for a better feeling clear.
I think that's completely valid. Like just make it so like you get like one tunnel every 40 seconds, like like Ash Hawk or some shit, right?
Hmm.
And then you then just like buff the clear or buff the skirmish a little bit. I mean, her skirmish is good already, but just like buff the clear or something. You know what I mean? Like Make it so she's like in the early game, like she is already early game skewed, but make her like she's a skirmish skewed jungler more than a gank. You know what I mean? Jungler. I feel like skirmish junglers are more healthy in general. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
but maybe I'm
100%,
biased because I'm a
100%.
Graves player. But yeah.
I mean, I don't like the whole like oh fight with first card of game the guy's games lost thing, but I do agree like skirmishes being incentivized is so much more fun than
Definitely, yeah.
clearing. Like I think everyone can agree. It's just like also then it takes more accounted for like who has a prio lane, who has a strong lane kind of thing. Because like in the past that'd be like guys we have prio mid, let's go force a fight around dragon right now. Whereas nowadays it's like we have prio mid, help me come get Gromp, and it's like okay thanks, yeah sure bro, I really
Yeah.
want to just walk out my lane.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have to, but like you know. But I will say I think Rek'Sai is good again. Not good again, but I think she's because of the current jumps, like I said, with the AD bruises kind of thing. I feel like she's not too bad right now. I've seen her once and she seemed okay into like what was it? Not Lee Sin. It was Viego. Never mind. This is my point. Never mind. But I think she's okay. I don't. But yeah, I think like we said before, champs with hands, right? That's the difference. This champ you kind of need hands, and she's difficult. So would you want her to be like actually like toned down in terms of difficulty, or like do you think that doesn't need to be
It's
done?
not the difficulty aspect. It's just like the feel-good aspect about playing the champ. Like, even there was this patch, right? There was like a patch where Rek'Sai was literally number 2 jungle when it comes to win rate, and I was already like a really good Rek'Sai player before that patch, right? So I tried to pick her up again, and I was winning. It just felt really fucking boring and
Yeah,
not fun for
when
me.
you know that the all you have ahead of you is clearing these camps with these shit abilities.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you
exactly.
can get a successful gank, you're like, okay, time to reset and go. Oh fuck, I have to clear again.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yawn. Like yeah, it just doesn't feel good. I think my favorite iteration of Rek'Sai is like when she's strong with a Titanic Hydra.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We won't talk about Prowler's Claw Rek'Sai.
Nothing happened, bro.
That was like the epitome. I actually despise that. When she had the true damage. When she had true damage on bite, dude. It was like a
See, that's
hidden
when I
thing.
played her. That was so fun.
That was like super random, but she had like 700 true damage. She could contest Camille Q. Like it was that good, but not as often, but can definitely compete with it in terms of the actual damage.
So you're saying we should make Camille Q max HP damage instead of true damage? I agree with that.
Physical
Fuck
damage.
Camille players.
Physical damage, yeah, maybe.
Next to
But
do.
it is
Fuck
true
Camille players,
damage.
bro.
There is true damage, and we'll keep it as Cho'Gath or on Q.
Yeah, no one wants to talk about top laners, fucking stinky bastards. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I don't know how much you guys obviously watch pro play, watch fives content much. But do you guys have any thoughts on solo queue compared to fives, whether it's pro play, flex queue? What are your thoughts on it? Like, do you enjoy it more? Do you enjoy it less?
Fives is 10x more fun than solo queue.
I'll reiterate it quickly
10x.
because I've said it in previous episodes. I just wish Flex was more respectable and
Yeah, I agree.
had a cleaner ranked ladder because the Flex experience is so fun. Playing with your friends, so fun. You have opportunity to try out comps, do synergies and combos, communicate with the team, actually develop your macro in a healthy way that isn't just flipping. But it's just not taken seriously. And obviously there's the problems with the boosters and the guardrails that are in place are just not nearly enough for their mode to be taken seriously. But yeah, I'd love to see Flex rank be a more respectable thing.
I can agree with that. Also, I would say, like playing solo queue jungle and playing flex like jungle is like completely a different game. Like completely, it's just like this is something I learned the hard way, especially right because I'm like a solo queue player, right? Like my play style is very selfish and very I'm the main character. You know what I mean?
Don't
Like,
leave your waves around the sky.
yeah, literally, bro. I will smite every cannon I walk across if nobody's like in there within like flash distance. But and it's just I take every wave, I take every camp because I know I can like carry because I know I'm like the only consistent factor across all my games, right? But if you translate to if you translate that like flex, where I would say like especially like flex or like especially probably like where junglers are more supposed to be like low econ junglers. You know what I mean? Like Sundered Sky Vi, Sundered Sky Jarvan, like
Yeah,
like
yeah. But they can like
supposed.
spike on one item and they only need one item, and the
Yeah,
rest of the gold can be on like their carries. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like cheap and still like impactful while still like playing for your team. That's not my playstyle at all. Like I still can play for my team, but like you can ask anyone here who played with me in Flex. I will never leave a camp on the map if I can help it.
But this just
So,
comes back to it again. Bring back the jungle unique items, please.
Yeah.
Can't have us building out the same shop. It just doesn't make any sense at all, given the demands on both characters. Like, bring it back.
yeah.
I thought you were gonna like go on more of a spiel, but apparently I'm wrong.
Now I've learned how to
Apparently,
tame my rants. Yeah.
which is a damn shame because sometimes they're very entertaining. But of course, do you guys watch pro play? What do you think of Because like I said, if you guys watch any pro play, I just want to know first of all, any of you like watch anything like that currently? Have seen anything recently?
Yeah, I watch about pro play, LCK, LPL,
Okay, nice.
and it's mainly just swap meta, which is kind of just like it's entertaining, but yeah, it is what it is. It's pretty interesting, and I would like to try a swap. We did it one time in our fives, and that was good. It was unlucky we didn't win the game, but like I can definitely feel like why it's really strong.
Wait, who'd you like? I mean, 'cause I know I told Owen to do a swap once, and we like stomped the game off of it. I was also getting really pissed at him because he was like 16 kill Jinx trolling, and I was like, Owen, I'm gonna kill you myself if you don't win this game after all I've done for you. Um, but yeah, I agree. Swap meta, it's not the most fun to watch. What do you guys? I mean, has any of you three watched the pro play at all recently? If not, then that's unfortunate.
I've seen some of the LEC. I've just mainly been watching NLC just for that's what down is. But of actual like high level pro play content,
That
I haven't
still
really
works.
seen that much.
That still works because they still keep up to date mostly with the meta.
Mm.
So I was gonna say, like, what do you guys think of the jungle pro meta read? Because going back to Pantheon jungle, in Fearless, that's like a very common like it's for like game 3 onwards.
Yeah, I
like,
see a lot of LCK liking Pantheon, but not as a jungler, but more as a support.
Yeah, I've noticed the sport, but I noticed in LPL they've been doing it jungle especially.
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
couple
I see
times.
jungle in LPL a lot more. Yeah, I agree.
And again, like in that regard, that I'm just gonna say that suits the regions like playstyle, like junglers in LPL,
Very aggressive,
much
hyper
more
aggressive.
psycho,
Yeah.
much more willing to be the carry, make the plays. Whereas in LCK, it's more like we're happy to play facilitative more so and have the supports be the ones who make more of the plays.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like again, I think from what I've seen, like I said, jungle meta read has been different in pro play. Not only different, but like it's still different prios. I think I haven't paid attention to the exact patches, but a lot of teams still obviously high prio Skarner. I agree with that. I think Skarner's nerfs weren't like actually that bad, but they were enough to take him out of like the insane solo queue level of play. But I
Poppy
think in
is
fights
still
he still
super
works.
high prio as well.
What was that?
Poppy's also super
Yeah.
high prio. That champion's getting played a lot.
Bro, Poppy in pro play is such a disgusting, unnerving thing, and in solo queue I
Yeah.
think it's still disgusting and unnerving.
Yeah. Champions.
Like
That was
it's
probably just about the peak of ADC misery was when the Halo Blazes ignite Poppy.
Yeah,
It's
you just
just-
get level 2'd. Like it's just unfun.
Like I think
Better or worse than
ADC's
Camille?
become. I mean, I think they were like kind of strong at the same time. Camille came first, right? And just,
Uh,
Yeah.
just kind of,
Camille
and then
came
the
first,
and then the void got filled by Poppy because she kind of just does it better and can get out. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's just that period was the height of misery. But I think ADC after that is slowly on the up. Like I've been having a lot of fun.
I've been enjoying it as well, yeah.
Fucking 80 carry. Stop whining. Yeah. Okay, so not much. I mean, yeah, like I said, I think I wish you guys watched more pro play, but I will not. I will not force the topic. I'm not going to rant for 5 minutes. So we'll just move on. Obviously, like I said, we talked about the new players. We talked about the our experiences, our thoughts on meta. But I'm curious actually. So for the people mostly Sin because you are a proper jungle main, right? And I guess Matt as well. You've also played a lot of jungle. I'd say it's your most role. What do you think is like the one thing that like non-junglers need to understand about jungle or about jungling itself. Like they need to, whether it's solo queue, whether it's just in general.
I think it's. Oh, I'll let them speak first.
You wouldn't even ask the question, bro.
I really wanted to.
You can
I wanted
answer.
to
No, no,
piece,
but go for it. Go for it.
I think it's like they're not gonna babysit you. That's like I think the biggest thing when it comes is like jungler isn't coming. Their jungler has came like 3 times, and whenever like you look at it, it's like the person that's getting ganked, they're always there at the wrong time at the wrong minute, and then they like expect you to be there, but like junglers can't always be there. I feel like that's the one thing I want people to understand. Is like you're not gonna get like they're not gonna always be there to help you, but like it's not saying like they won't come and help you, but just they're not always gonna be there 100% of the time, and you have to like kind of deal with that, whatever way possible.
One thing is like I don't know if it's just from me thinking this and it's from a jungler's point of view, but I feel like when a laner says, "Can you help me with this?" a jungler can't always do it. But when a jungler asks, "Can you help me with this?" the laners kind of have to do it. Otherwise, they're just kind of screwed. But I don't know if that's just from like my point of view.
I mean, it depends what
really
elo you're
depends.
playing at, I think, and especially like whether you're in a more competitive like kind of game or not, or whether you're just in solo queue. But I don't know, like, is the past meta on like solo lanes has felt pretty hard to move, but I think we're allowed to move more again recently. But I think it's pretty even, to be honest, most of the time. Like both roles have the potential to fuck each other over with bad moves.
Yeah.
I just think it just comes more from whichever role you play the most of.
Okay.
But I think we did just come out of a meta in mid lane especially of to win you stay on lane and sit there. So you probably were feeling a lot of the implications of that while trying to play jungle around mid. Whichever mid moves first kind of loses usually, but that's not the case anymore, thankfully. Sid, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, sorry, my mic was glitching, but there's like a big point that I would like to get this message across. Jungle is like a back and forth role. Like if I make a play, then I have to like clear my cams or I have to reset, and the enemy jungler will have like a 50-second, like 30-second timer to do something, and I can't punish it, right? And that's just how it goes. So whenever like I gank bot lane, like for example, and then my top laner dies, that's fine because I took something, they took something, right? It goes back and forth. But when like laners just like keep like crying that, for example, like I took Drake, my top laner dies. Why? He was like he didn't like ward or something, right? And then he's like, oh, jungle diff, and like it's that's like kind of stuff just annoys me. Like even if you're ahead in jungle, right? The only thing that makes is it makes the windows for the enemy jungle to make plays shorter, but it doesn't make them completely disappear. You know, this is something actually I taught Vincent, right? Because Vincent, I remember this when I coached him. I told him when you are ahead in jungle, like especially by a big bit, you should try and match the enemy jungler's pathing, so you can make it so he can't like make any play without you being there and them being at a big disadvantage. Because like once you get your lead, you can just like perma match the enemy jungle and just cuck their like play timer pretty much. But yeah, it's just like a back and forth roll. That's like the big thing. It's like same with top lane. Like even if you're like somewhat ahead, you still have to play with the waves like in the early game. You know what I mean? Like you give a wave, you like you slow push, you die, stuff like that, right? Like it's not just completely stomp. Even if you get like one solo kill, until until a certain elo, of course. Like if there's a big enough disparity, then yeah. But you know what I mean. It's like a back and forth until it's just unplayable because the lead is just too big. But yeah.
Some salient points there, yeah.
I mean, like I said, I would like kind of add on to that, which like what I've kind of noticed, which again, this is gonna apply to some people in Flex. Like I don't really care about Flex, but I play for fun. But it still goes like junglers also have their own timers that you gotta understand, right? Which means like if they come for a play which you're calling for, and then like the play doesn't happen, they can't just like immediately regank 15 seconds later. It doesn't work for them either. It's like if you're not able to like call your play this in any elo, any game, right? and then you call it wrong and it screws jungler over, you gotta remember, oh yeah, jungle can also get screwed over. Like, just because my lane is fucked doesn't mean I have to fuck over someone else, kind of thing. And that's like a really strong thing I despise that people don't understand. And it's honestly like, again, I think this is especially true in solo queue, right? It's like no matter what elo you're in, right? Like, of course, jungle is the role that's meant to like kind of help everyone. But like, if you are losing your lane solo, there's still like such a low chance your jungler wants to go there because you're just playing terribly, right? Like, why would you go towards someone who's playing terribly when you can instead play towards the carry? And people still don't get that. You know what I mean? It's like you get like a lead somewhere else, and even some junglers don't get it. You get like a strong lead bot lane, and then randomly you just see them in top lane. Like, bro, why are you top lane? Like, split map, play the bot, win the game.
The amount of times, yeah, that especially this happens so much on mid. Your jungle will, because it's easier to find early opportunities mid, and then it gets a bit like harder mid game. But they get the flash, they come mid, they get the flash, and they never come back the rest of the game. It's like, what did you even get the flash for? Especially when you're playing a facilitator on mid, and you're like, well, I can't go and get this kill, but I can get you this kill if you come, and you just never see them again. They think they did their job by getting the flash, so I think, yeah, it goes both ways like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I would say a lot of things come down to communication, and this is why solo queue needs comms. Smiley face.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that though. But like adding to Zach's point, like when it comes to like doing vertical jungle, like splitting the map, weak siding someone, like that stuff. It's like playing a vertical map is so OP in solo queue. Like genuinely, if you can like split the map and control bot lane, like sure your top lane like will not have a good time, or like for example if you have an ending bot lane, you just stack them and you just permacam top and then you just play for a good split or stuff like that, right? Like I was telling Vincent about how like I told Vincent like this, and I even sent them like paragraphs or like long ass messages. I was like, vertical jungle is the best way to just instantly win the game if you can get it off correctly. Like like the resource disparity you can like make by cutting the map in like half and just like controlling one side of it is really big, and it can like tilt like the enemies, especially bot laners. Like if I ever like play a vertical map and come bot lane and I kill them like between the turrets, a lot of the times like the supports will just perma roam and let their ADC just completely suffer. It's just yeah. But yeah, vertical maps, OP as fuck. That's my point.
Nice. I mean,
Yep.
I agree with that.
I
It's very
agree as
similar
well,
to the
completely.
strong side. But yeah, I mean, I think the only final thing I wanted to discuss is obviously with the new season coming in, there's been some addition of objectives, right? The Atakan. And
Oh, yeah.
I want to actually specifically ask, like, do you think, with regards to jungling right now, that there are too many objectives, or do you think it's perfectly fine?
I think there's with Atakan, I think it's fine because it's like because they're like at different times. Like junglers aren't ever like. How do I explain that? I'll come back to me. I'll think about it.
Okay.
Somebody else.
Me when I answer first and then ask to come back to
Yeah,
I think
there's something.
Classic.
one thing that I'm thinking like right now is there's a lot of objectives, and I feel like the team has to play for the objectives with. I'll start again. So
Wow, crazy
Go
guys.
for it.
sorry, there's I feel like there's too many objectives that are controlled by the jungler. Because let's say your team doesn't play for jungle monsters, and you're playing like Lee Sin or Wukong or something like that. You're kind of useless if your team doesn't play for them, because what you're gonna do is just perma farm on early skirmish champions. But then there's also people like Karthus where you kind of just want to perma farm early, but the objectives are so important and your team kind of wants to play for them. It's kind of like I feel like some objectives should be shifted off jungle. I don't know how they would do it, but I think that jungle should be less like in control over the objectives.
We'll come back to that later because I have a pretty controversial like just idea of maybe a way we could change jungle, like overhaul the whole thing. But let's hear some of the other answers to that question first.
I think I think like right now the objectives are fine, like with like quantity at least, because Atakan spawns very late. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not really gonna like each objective has its window. Like you can either choose a Grubs or Drake, and then Grubs or Drake, or like for example Atakan or Third Drake, or like Atakan or Baron, stuff like that, right? So I don't think it's like that bad because on average there aren't like gonna be like more than two objectives on the map. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
the thing is, what Matthew said, I agree like a lot because like for example, I play bruisers a lot, right? I try to play like I really like playing bruisers, and if my team is not playing with me, right, I'm not gonna solo any objective because a lot of bruisers just suck at that, right? So I can't get objectives, and then my team is losing already because they're like losing solo lanes, and I'll have like a score of like 0-0 and then 2 assists or some shit, just like very normal score, right? But I don't have any objectives because I don't have a team to play with, and they'd be like, "Oh, GG jungle diff, no objective, 0 drakes." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have a bot lane. What do you want me to do?" Stuff like that, and like I feel like I feel like them increasing the smite damage was a big mistake. I feel, you know what I mean, because it removed Laner's ability to like steal objectives or something. I feel like that was very cool. Like I'm not sure if it was healthy. I just think it was very fun and cool, like as a mechanic. You know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, that's
Hmm.
just my thoughts on it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Do we have any other
Vincent,
answers?
Vincent,
Vincent, do we come back to you?
have you
Okay.
got your thoughts together?
So how I think there's a good balance for jungle because there isn't like you can just take fuck. Uh-oh.
Jesus, man.
Do you want
It's
to
like
Are you
write down your
good?
thoughts?
I think I am. I'm not too sure. How I can't like put my things together.
It's been a long
My
day.
thoughts.
We were talking about this
Yeah.
earlier. I was like, you told me you had a full day of uni and then doing a solo live stream and
Yeah.
then recording podcast after. What a
Yeah.
busy day
But
for Vincent.
yes, sir. Yes,
We can
sir.
forgive a bit of brain fog.
Some of
Okay.
us can. Some of us can.
I think what I want to say is that like there's never too much to do. I think there's like a perfect amount of things to do for jungle. Jungles, it's you're either doing one thing because you can't solo something. You need the team to play around you, and through that, it's just like you can't like turbo do everything at once. It's quite fair, I think.
Seems like the consensus for the objectives is that it's not too bad right now.
Yeah, I think it's fine to be honest.
Mm.
After playing jungle, it's seems pretty fine.
I mean, you know what? I mean, all I'll say is I kind of like the 25-minute Baron is the only thing that feels weird to me. Not because
Yeah, it doesn't.
I think a 20 minutes at Baron, but I just don't. I feel like at that point with how the games are and the game time, the Baron really doesn't matter that much. Like honest to God, I don't think Baron really like in the past. Baron could really be the flip of we get back into the game of this, or we're gonna end the game of this. Whereas 25-minute Baron is kind of just like it's a Baron, right? The only time you take it is if a team gets a wipe. Like I've never really seen many scenarios aside from that, right? And
Yeah.
I think for that reason, maybe I don't know, maybe it's a bit weird, but like either we push Baron later and then like so we make the game a bit less early centric, like keep the objectives, but then again we space objectives out maybe an extra minute, 2 minutes apart, because then that way we can actually have an impactful Baron at a timing that makes more sense as like a kind of like an end game objective,
Yeah.
where maybe you'd actually trade it for like Elder Dragon consistently. Like okay, they have kill threat, but we have Baron, so we have like wave threat.
I think to add to that, like I find it quite disappointing that the only like sort of downtime objective or like unique objective that isn't one of the big ones is Scuttle Crab. It's like Scuttle Crab was a staple of jungle, but it's like okay, you cleared your camps, so the lanes aren't gankable. What do you do? Like at the Scuttle, it's always Scuttle. I think it'd be interesting if there were other Scuttle-sized camps that maybe have a little more impact than a singular camp. They were maybe worth 1.5 camps and had conditional spawns or just something to make them interesting. Just
Maybe
more
plants.
more non-game deciding, but still impactful things that junglers could play for. Which leads me into the next thing. Is like we were talking about this earlier. a jungle lane feels so intertwined right now, and it doesn't feel like there's a big difference between what a laner is, what a jungler is. So I was gonna propose that maybe jungle gets altered in such a way that the two junglers, much like the laners, would have to see each other on their screens a lot more than they currently do. I think maybe undoing this whole I have my side, you have your side thing, and making the jungle more of an active sort of like heat map of contention, so that you have a jungler laning against a jungler and then ganking in between would be more of a thing instead of just clearing, ganking, clearing, ganking. What do you guys think of something like that? Obviously, it'd be very hard to implement, but I think it's an
Yeah,
interesting
I think
idea.
it is interesting to have something where it's more of a 1v1 than just whoever can clear faster and like do something first or like do something better.
Yeah.
I think that would be good.
I'd
I think
never
it'd be
want
helpful
it. I
going
just want to
forward.
clarify. I'd never want the role to become a 1v1 role like a
Yeah, yeah,
lane,
yeah.
but I just mean sort of maybe cutting away this sort of divide between the two sides of jungle and making it more so that the junglers are in a truly unknown dark part of the map fighting over the same things. You have
So like I have like an idea of maybe having one big jungle where it's like the entire jungle is by itself and then you just like I
Yeah,
don't
but then
know.
the map has to change. Do you
Mhm.
Yeah,
think?
yeah, yeah.
Do you think a good change, right? For example, let's say instead of two scuttles spawning at the same time, like in the first clear, right? One spawns and like you can, and then like a minute into the game, you can like see which one's gonna spawn. So like both junglers can make an active choice. Oh, do I want to clear into it and then try to contest the scuttle, or oh, am I like weaker than the enemy jungle, so I might as well just clear away, give up that scuttle, and put myself behind, but then I'm safer. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that would be a good change? I
I
think
think
that's interesting.
I think that's one
That's
way to like
interesting.
approach the solution, yeah, because obviously it's a very controversial big change. But yeah, that's one way we could do it. Any thoughts, Matt?
I think that would be cool, but I do think that would also, obviously I don't know exactly, but I reckon that would get rid of quite a few jungle champions. Like I feel
Mm.
like some of them would become completely useless if it did change to that. I mean, I don't know because I obviously we have it hasn't been tested and I haven't thought it all the way through, but I feel like with a massive change like that, there will have to be some sort of um, making up for those champions if they do want to keep them in the jungle, because otherwise I feel like some of them would just can be completely useless in a jungle role if they did change it to that.
Yep, definitely. There would be some fallout from a change like that. A lot of playstyles would
I
be made
think
unviable.
I think if you did that again, we'd have to disincentivize the amount of gold and XP you get from camps, because that way again you'd be like, oh, if I get this camp, I do get a lead from farming, right? But then that means the other guy could be more incentivized to play Lee Sin, for example, against skirmisher, and then actually incentivized to gank, and he doesn't fall too far behind. But then if he fails the gank, it's like, okay, yeah, this is a guaranteed he fails it, and then that would
Mhm.
be the 50-50, I guess. Because you can always argue like, oh, we know our jungle's going top side, we're going to play safe bot, and it's like, actually, then we're going to four-man bot kind of thing, right? So I think that would be you'd have to like again change the camp's experience in gold before you did that. But I don't mind the idea. My only issue with it is again by then kind of almost taking away from the minor objectives or the non-objective camps, as we stated earlier, that we kind
Mm.
of want to improve on, because then it becomes effectively
Definitely.
itself an objective. And especially if you think about it, like if it's like a top lane scuttle grab, and then we're also going to contest like grubs, it's like how do we address that issue of it linking it to something else?
I think this is definitely a big open-ended proposal, but yeah.
But I do like the ideas. I especially like the idea. Unironically, like once think of the dark jungle, like completely dark. I think what would be really interesting with that is there would be like multiple unique spawn locations for like objectives, and you don't know where each spawns.
I
And
think
I think that would
that's a
make it so
crazy
much
idea.
more fun.
Yeah, I like
Because
that.
that's like stupid, but then it makes so much more sense. It's like, okay, I'm incentivized to like look with my team, but oh, I want to find where's Drake. Oh, Drake's over here. Oh, it's top side. Okay, we're gonna go here instead. Oh, it's forward grubs. Okay, let's swap top and bot. Like kind of make the game again. It becomes more complicated, but then again, and ironically, it leads to more need for voice comms. Like, oh shit, guys, we need to set this objective. Okay, let's swap top and bot in like 2 waves time. But yeah, that would be my thoughts on making it even stupider and even crazier. And I honestly Okay, why not?
I'll
What's for the
be
second
down
option?
for that. If we can ever implement something like that, I think it'd be very fun, honestly.
I think it's definitely something they could test out in a limited time mode as well. Like they don't have to ship it to PB or rank. They can just make a game mode out of it, and then who knows? Maybe it'll just feel the way it was meant to be the whole time. Or maybe it'll completely fail. But that's just the fun of experimentation.
I mean, if there needs to be a League of Legends 2 one day, all I'm saying is there's a lot of ideas out there being floated about.
Get me on the dev team.
Okay, so anyone have any closing thoughts in the jungle? You know, anything you notice, anything you want to say, or forever hold your peace for this episode?
No, I'm good.
Sometimes it is just a nice clean severance.
And with that in mind, I mean, Matthew, nothing to say?
No, not really. I've said my thoughts.
Nice. You don't get this often, but I suppose that's it from us today. Thank you for listening to the Climb podcast. We hope to see you again, either in one of our daily streams over on the Tavern channel, or in the next episode. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.